how can you customize what happens when you assign to a specific attribute on a Python class? We have a class here called person, and person objects have a name attribute and a location attribute. I would like to make it so that whenever we assign to the location attribute, all previous values of the location attribute are stored somewhere. So I'd like to be able to access all of the values of location on a particular person, every value that that location attribute used to have. In many programming languages like Java, the solution to this problem is getter methods and setter methods. So instead of having a location attribute, we would have a private attribute. Now, Python doesn't have private attributes, but sometimes we use underscore before an attribute name to note that it's private by convention. So instead of accessing location directly, which doesn't work anymore, we would call the getLocation method. When we want to set the location, we'd call the setLocation method. The benefit of this way of doing things is that we can hook into these methods and put any code we'd like inside them. So in our setLocation method, we're appending to a past locations list. Now, in Python, we don't tend to use getter and setter methods. We don't have a get name and a set name and a get location and a set location for every single attribute. Instead, we tend to just assign to attributes and read from attributes as we like. But in this particular situation where we have an attribute and we'd like to change how it works later, we're kind of stuck. We need some way to hook into the assignment of that attribute. Fortunately, in Python, there is a way to do this, and you can use a property to do it. So properties allow you to hook into the getting of an attribute. So when we access the location attribute, it's actually accessing the underscore location attribute under the hood. But they also allow you to customize what happens when you assign to an attribute. By default, you get an error if you assign to a property. But in our case, we don't get an error. It works because we've implemented a setter for our property. Now, the syntax for property setters is a little bit weird, so I don't recommend memorizing it. I recommend looking it up when you need it. It's at location.setter, so the name of our property, as we defined it up here, .setter, and we use that decorator to decorate a location method, which by convention is the same as our property name. And then we accept an argument. That's whatever is given on the right-hand side of our equal sign, whatever we're assigning to this property. So we're storing that actual value on underscore location, and then we're appending to the past locations list every time our location changes. So both of our locations are reflected in here. In fact, anytime the location changes, past locations will be updated. Now notice, even in our initializer, we're assigning to location. So the reason San Diego is the first value in this past locations list is that in our initializer, when we assign to the location attribute, it called our setter even then. Every time location is assigned to, the setter will be called for this property. So if you would like to customize what happens when you assign to a specific attribute on your class in Python, you can use a property with a setter.